Everybody, this your boy B Rob, and I am back with another edition of the Random Rounds with Rob podcast. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you, the listener, for coming back each and every week, or however you listen to podcasts. If you're a first-time listener, I appreciate you oh so much for giving my show a try. And if anybody recommended you to me, take your social media app of choice and send them a well-crafted DM to thank you. No, don't thank you. I thank you, but you thank them for recommending you. And speaking of social media, you can find the Random Rounds with Rob on various social media platforms to include Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And I would normally give you the user handle, which escaped me because I hear little pitter patters of feet running around back in my hallway, and I'm thinking my child gonna bust in here. But Twitter at 3R Show, Instagram at the 3R Show, Facebook, search the Random Rounds with Rob, and YouTube, search for 3R Show. And for anything that I may have forgotten or missed, you can find on randomrob.com. Now, joining me, as per usual, I have a guest, one of many of this show that I've come across called the Triple C Podcast. What the C stand for, you wonder? What I was about to do the Rick Ross shit. I forget what it was called, but culture. No, it's comics, culture, and cosplay. There you go. That's the 3 C's. I almost said them out of order, but I would have all correct. But when you search it on your freaking podcast platforms or whatever, you want to have the correct title. So I had to make sure that I said it correctly. But joining me, one of the many ghosts. Woo! I'm stumbling all over the goddamn place. Then I got video proof of me fucking up. I ain't cutting none of this shit out. Kiss my ass. Joining me from the Triple C Podcast, the Comics, Culture, and Cosplay Podcast, Josh Winchester. How are you, sir?
Rob, I'm doing good, man. I just want to say, first off, thank you for having me on the show. Longtime fan, so to be able to get to do this with you is a kind of a trip and a half for me, honestly. But I really appreciate you giving me the gift of your time. And shout out to all your listeners, everyone who's been a loyal Random Rob fan for years. Y'all are awesome. Keep this man in business.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you, sir, for also giving me your time and joining me on this fine evening. I know we talked about some weather concerns earlier. It was raining and all kind of other crap, and it was a little bit of the same here. And we sounded like my parents right now because every time my mother called me, which as we record, April 28th, is my mother's 78th birthday.
Oh, wow. Happy birthday to her.
So I talked to her this morning when I went to work, and she was like, "Oh, thank you for telling me happy birthday. How's the weather?" And that's all her go-to. How's the weather? But you have been podcasting coming up on 2 years now. Your anniversary coming up there, homeboy.
Yeah, 2 years this July, which I still can't believe that it's going to be 2 years since we started this back in 2018. Because I'll be perfectly honest, I didn't think that we would ever get this far. I didn't even think that we would make it to what was our 90th episode yesterday on the 27th, let alone to everything else we've done so far. So each day it's another step, another thing. And I'm like, how the hell are we still doing this? Like, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop or Carrot Top to jump out and kick me in the balls at some point.
Damn, is Carrot Top doing that lately? He's generally running around kicking people in the balls?
I don't know, but I just remember that being a thing for so many years, so I keep expecting it to happen to me at some point.
Oh, I don't know if it was Carrot Top or not, but there was an old series of videos. I guess it was a guy dressed like a clown or something.
Oh God!
And he would run around just kicking people in the balls. Do you remember this?
Sadly, yes. I want to try to forget that.
That shit was awesome, man. He had a series of videos of just him running around kicking random people in the nuts.
Oh God, man, you're making me feel older than I need to today, dude. Like, Jesus.
I think the best one he had, I think it was the guy. They were either out in the park playing catch football or they was playing basketball, and it was a wide shot. It was like a long park or field or something. And you just see him running in the background with his freaking afro wig blowing in the wind. The guy just turned around and full stride. I loved it.
God, I remember that one. I watched that a lot when I was still in college because you'd have days where it's like you have nothing to do, nothing going on outside on the quad. You've got all your classes done, all your shit out of the way, and there's nothing else to, do. So you just go onto YouTube and you search random funny shit. And I remember laughing so hard at that one the first time I refound it.
So the college experience for you, you actually went on campus, or how did that work out for you?
I did actually. My college experience was that I ended up going to 3 different colleges over the span of a 4 or 5 year period before I got my degree. So my freshman year and half my sophomore year was spent campus living, dorm all the way from home and everything. I was all the way down in southern Indiana with no car, I might like to add, because my brother was still in high school. We shared a car. He needed the car. So I had to either get rides from my folks or beg rides off my other friends, my few friends that were at the same school as me. So that was not a fun experience being without a car, but the campus life was a bit of a blast.
Yeah, because I didn't go to college. I went to the military after high school, and looking back at it and knowing people that have been to college, it wasn't too much different for me in the earlier phases and whatnot, because we lived in a barracks, which
Right.
is a dormitory for college students, and we'd just be all in there just hanging out, jumping off the balcony. I mean, just any college kid would do, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really speak to one much balcony jumping for me, but there was lots of other stuff which I'm sure you could find obvious parallels during military. Which, by the way, thank you for your service, sir.
All right.
Mad respect.
That was the very first salute in 3R show history. So I mean, we have a video to document this for occasion.
No, but anyway, I mean, if you think about it, there are a lot of parallels between military life and college life. Like you said, you had the barracks and everything. I had to deal with an RA. You had to deal with your sergeant and everything, or whoever was your CO at that point during training and afterwards. You have to deal with a strictly regimented set of rules, meal times and whatnot, and figuring out what the heck are you going to do if you're in the middle of nowhere for fun. So what do you have? You have, thank God we live in the age of streaming services and stuff, so I mean, I had streaming services, I had books, I had all these other little things, but then there's the things that you take for granted and you're like, dang, I'm never going to take this for granted again.
Yeah. I mean, enlighten me a little bit, man. You seem to be a little bit in the know as far as military goes. I mean, you got somebody in the family that do that, or?
Yeah. My grandfather, Jerry Westfall, who passed away last year before his 85th birthday, was in the service. He was stationed in Hanau, Germany in the late 50s and the early 60s. It was during peacetime, of course, for a little bit, but he was there in Germany when the wall went up, actually, when the Berlin Wall went up. So he was in the service there. He got out of the service and spent 27 years as an airline pilot with United Airlines. So in the 27 years that he did that, your parents or your grandparents or whoever listens to and watches your show may have, if they were traveling through Chicago or through O'Hare, there's a 99.9% chance that Captain Jerry Westfall was flying the friendly skies with them.
Word, that's fucking amazing.
Yeah, I miss him a lot. I mean, it's literally been a year since he passed away this June. So I'm not trying to get, all maudlin or whatever, but he was a huge part of my life because he lives only 40. He and my grandma, my Oma, they live only 45 minutes from where I am. So you can imagine that I spent a lot of time with them growing up, birthdays, Christmases, sleepaways at their house, all that stuff. So I have a lot of good memories. They're there, but it's still very, bitter taste in my mouth knowing that he's gone.
Condolences, my friend.
Bless you, brother.
All right. But on a lighter note.
Yes, lighter things, please.
Yes. Away from freaking beer bong chugging and jumping off the third deck of barracks into bushes. Podcasting. Yeah, like you said, you started the show 2 years ago, coming up on 2 years ago, pretty soon. Mm-hmm. What was the motivation? And, I listened to your latest episode. I mean, there's 4 of you in that motherfucker, but you only started with 2, I believe. And I don't think the guy that started with you is still there.
No, that was my boy Jimmy Fresh. Sadly, he does not do the show with us anymore. And I'll fill the information bucket as quickly as I can, not letting it drag on. So my background is in radio broadcasting. I finished up my college experience with a Bachelor's of the Arts from Columbia College Chicago in radio broadcasting. got my first job right out of school, working at a small station in Evanston, led me to where I'm at these days, working with up in Elk Grove. And so it was maybe I've been wanting to do something like the podcast for a while, and then Jim, whose desk is right next to me and everything, he and I are pretty geeky people, and so we would sometimes spend our lunches talking about geeky things and whatnot. And then Steve Ditko passed away, the co-creator of Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and so many other wonderful characters over the years, whether working at Marvel or when he worked at Charlton back in the 60s doing The Question, Blue Beetle, and all this other amazing stuff. Or if you're familiar with any of your listeners are familiar with Ayn Rand and Randyism philosophy, after he broke from mainstream, he did a lot more of that. So when he passed away, it was like there was this devastating hole because, this was one of the holy trinity of Marvel. Stan Lee was still alive at that point. Jack Kirby had been dead since 1994, and now we lost Steve Ditko. And I was just like, I want to do something to talk about this, but not only to talk about the loss of Steve Ditko, but also to talk about geeky things. Because I'm a true blue fanboy, man. I speak Klingon. I've been to shows since I was in high school, like all of this shit.
So hold on. You speak Klingon. I know it came from Star Trek and everything.
Yeah.
The show been in syndication for many years, many different versions and whatnot. But how did we derive a full-on language from these series of shows? Did somebody, is this a third-party thing, or did that come from the show proper?
It came from the show proper. I forget the exact sequence of events that led to it happening, but a Klingon to English dictionary was published at some point back during the 1980s or 1990s, I believe, and you can still readily buy it from booksellers. I remember I got a copy from my birthday years ago, and yeah, it's an honest to gosh thing. It's a legitimate language, like Sidarin and Quenya from Tolkien's Lord of the Rings and Elvish and all these other things. It's a fictional language, but it's as much a language as English is, or any any African dialect, or French, or German, or Russian. So you can learn it and speak it and write in it just the same as anything we have here in the actual world.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
English to Klingon translation. I got a website for this shit.
Yeah, man, it's out there. I mean, hey, we live long and prosper. We Trekkies are in everything now, man.
I'm typing in some shit right now. Just see.
I mean, if you want, I can drop a little Klingon right here on the show for everybody.
Well, hold on. Okay, so I have my little thing here. I think this is the right translator thing, but I have a phrase here, and I want to see how close it sounds to what you're going to tell me. So all I put in was, "Hello, everyone."
Hello, everyone. And I'm a little rusty since I actually had to do this, but
all that razzmatazz, like, oh, I'm fluent in Klingon, and now you can't.
Okay, yeah, I can do it, man. It's just been a little while, so you have to remember. You have to prefacing. Klingon is a very throaty dialect, the way German is. So if it comes out a little harsh over the microphones, it's the same way as if you were talking on the phone to somebody in German.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn my levels down a little bit. Go ahead.
All right then. So hello everyone in Klingon, if memory serves.
Huh. That don't look like how it sounds, but I don't think there's a word like if I press it, it don't say it. Let's see.
That's the problem. Is I don't think translators for Google have that, and it's been a while, like I said, so I could be doing something. What you're looking at versus what I have in my Klingon English dictionary is different.
Yeah, I'm probably way off anyway. Then I can't read well, so I probably read it wrong as I heard it. But anyway, I mean, you were that much of a fan of the show to where you was like, I have to learn this shit.
Well, yeah, I mean, in the same way that people who have been diehard, Tolkien and Lord of the Rings fans for, God knows how many years want to learn Elvish and all the other languages from Middle Earth, I figured why the hell not? Plus, it's fun when you go to conventions and you meet other Trekkies. You can start conversing in Klingon, and everyone's like, what the hell are they saying? And, we can be talking shit about them or poking fun at the non-Trekkies and everything. Or just it's like having your own secret language.
Yeah. So has that ever played into your favor? Have you ever had any backhanded conversations about somebody in their presence in Klingon or something?
Sadly, not yet. It's a thing. I've seen it, but I've never had it happen to me personally, unfortunately. But hey, I mean, fingers crossed it could happen at some point. So I'm going to just keep hoping that someday the situation happens where I actually get to conversate with fellow Trekkies in Klingon.
Very well. But to go back to your show and everything, I think the Triple C, because that's how it helped me remember it and everything.
Right.
That's what you first introduced the show as on episode 1. So what kind of made you to trail it out and kind of go? You didn't go away from it, but it was just more of it's comics culture and cosplay.
Well, I mean, yeah, we started doing geeky stuff and everything, mostly going to different websites like Newsarama, Bleeding Cool, Comic Book Resources, and all that, and also going to places like the New York Times or the Atlantic or anywhere that might have a staff writer who covers pop culture related things. And, we did that and stuff, and it's always been a good time. But then as the show kept going and Jimmy Fresh, he was no longer to keep doing the show with us. And then I brought in my boy, Kevin McLaughlin, who I actually did a radio show with similar to the podcast back in college at Columbia called The Comic Boys.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, long story short, that was for class credit, but it was still, we were on the air every Wednesday on WCRX 88.1 FM for an hour just talking about nerd stuff. So I brought Kevin on to fill the gap where Jimmy had been, and he was with me for a while, and we just kept expanding the purview on our own. But then when Kevin left, because he was no longer able to make the drive out to the studio where we were recording on the weekends, and thankfully, bless him for being one of my dearest friends in the world, he did not drop this on me out of the clear blue like that. He told me in advance, like, I'm not going to be able to do this after this day. So that gave me time to put the feelers out. And I brought Mari and Kevin on after a very vigorous auditioning process, actually, ironically enough. Apparently if you just put a post out on like the Chicago subreddit, hey, looking for podcast partners, you get a lot of responses from people. So when it came down to them, I couldn't choose. So I was like, screw it. I want both of you. And so I brought in a new balance of voices. And then when we realized it was just getting way too costly to drive all the way up to the studio and everything, especially for Mari and Kevin coming from Chicago, we decided to redo it where we are now, where we all hook up through Discord and record using Open Broadcast Studio or OBS and using our gaming headsets. And I edit everything from here. But then we also brought in my brother Zach, who has, if you listen to our most recent episode, Kevin was not able to join us. He wasn't feeling very, very good. He was just, and it's not COVID, thankfully. It was just a little bit of stress from overwork and everything. So we were like, dude, take a break. It's not going to kill you to miss being a part of one episode, and it's fun. And we talk about a lot of different things. We talk about comics. We don't just talk about comics and cosplay and stuff like that. We talk about everything. We talk about sci-fi, anime, manga, movies, TV shows, video games. We do interviews with creators and celebrities, especially when we're very fortunate to be approved for press passes at conventions. For example, we were at C2E2 2020, which unfortunately may have, if things are progressing as they are, will be one of the few conventions that happens this year.
Mm-hmm.
And we were very fortunate to get a lot of really great content there as well. And we're just going to keep going, man, doing what we're doing until somebody says, hey, knock it off, or until we decide to branch off and to do other projects.
Yeah, because I listened to that first episode or whatever, and Ant-Man and Wasp just came out.
Yeah, so, oh man, yeah.
The dive on that and everything, and it was just like, it was kind of like I was listening from the future and shit, right? Because that was back in 2018. It already happened, and that movie just came out, and to hear y'all talk about it and just like not knowing what's gonna come after that, it was just like, oh man, it's just like out in the freaking end game or something. I had the little freaking Pym particles, and I was going back to tell, hey man, this is what's gonna happen. So. It was just a cool blast from the past and everything. And then y'all had a couple of interviews on there as well, right?
Yeah, we did. First episode, we had Gene Ha, who is long time member of the comic book industry, artist, writer. Actually, he's a local guy here in Illinois. He's a Berwyn boy. So if anybody out there has ever watched Sven Gulli, they keep hearing Berwyn. That's a little shout out there. And we also had honestly, one of my oldest friends in the whole world, cosplayer and internet personality, Tay Ray.
Mm-hmm.
She was on there to talk about, at that point, because she was going to be at that year's San Diego Comic-Con as a booth model and representative of the Tentacle Kitty Company, which they make the most adorable little things in the world. They're these little plush kitties with tentacles and everything. So you're thinking at first it's like really weird, like an octopus cat, but they are adorable, man.
What's this website? I must look this up as well.
Tentacle Kitty.
Okay, so it's just all right. Tentacle Kitty. No.
Yeah, and that they were our first guests on that very first episode, and we had Gene on very specifically because he's been in the industry at that point. He had been in the industry as a professional for over 25 years, and we brought him on specifically to talk about the impact that Steve Ditko had on him as an artist, because every artist in the industry develops their own unique style and their own unique artistic background. But they definitely get inspired by the comics they read growing up as kids. So whether it was an artist like Jack Kirby or John Romita Sr. or John Buscema or Walter and Louise Simonson or Frank Miller or Steve Ditko or whomever, they all in their own way leave a little impression on the next generation of artists. Same thing with the next generation that's going to come in the next 30 years. They're going to be inspired by artists that we have currently, like Babs Tarr and Amanda Conner and Andy Kubert and John Romita Jr. and Mitch Gerrits and Doc Shaner and all the wonderful people that are out there in the industry currently.
And these little tentacle kitties are fucking cute.
I told you, man. I told you. They are as cute as hell.
I want to get one for the kid, but
do it, man. Get a tentacle kitty.
Yeah, we got this plushie policy here.
Oh.
I mean, she's a 9-year-old with allergies. So, I mean, a lot of those plush, they hold in a lot of dirt and dander and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's horrible on the allergies. But for some reason, my wife, she bitch and complain like, oh, she got too many goddamn plushies and shit. I'm like, well, let's stop buying them. And then, it's a hard hustle with a 9-year-old because we go to the Walmart or some shit like that. And be like, we go look at the toys. And I already know what the fuck she want to look at. And then we go over there. She's like, can I get this plushie? I was like, well, you know how your allergies is. We can't be getting plushies and shit. And then I had this hard rule of like, when you get money, like if the kids get money, they can spend it on whatever they want. But we had a rule is like, you cannot buy plushies with your money. If I buy it or if your mother buy it, that's okay. But you cannot personally go buy any plushies because you would spend all the money on goddamn plushies. So that's how bad it was getting. Then it was to the point to where she had so many that my wife was secretly away and shit. And I was just like, what's the fucking point of us spending goddamn money if you're going to throw the shit away? So that's what made me really angry. And then I see all kind of cool shit that I want to give to my 9-year-old daughter. I can't give it to her because I know it's eventually going to wind up in the goddamn trash somewhere. I say, so I ain't going to waste my goddamn money to get the shit thrown away. So that's the internal struggle with goddamn plushies in this household. And then once again, my wife again bitching and moaning about this shit. And I go to work, I come home, and my daughter got a new plushie. I was like, how the fuck she get this? She had some money, she bought it. I was like, what the fuck we were just talking about? You ain't gonna do shit but throw it away. I was like, hey, that's on her shit. What happened? I was like,
oh, Jesus. Well, I mean, if you can't get a tentacle kitty for your 9-year-old, maybe get a tentacle kitty for yourself. A little something to hang out with you while you're recording the shows and everything, man.
Maybe. I like the Sugar Skull looking one here.
Oh man, Sugar Skull's awesome.
Yeah, and then see, I have my own personal plushie because I watch professional wrestling, and over there in New Japan, there's a wrestler who comes to the ring with a plush stuffed cat. And I showed this to my 9-year-old. And she fell in love with it because they had a whole story arc built around this little plushy cat. So it's a dude named Hiromu Takahashi. Ooh. And he brought this little black and white stuffed cat called Daryl. And it became a part of his ring attire and all. And you bring the cat out and everything, the crowd goes crazy. So one match, the cat got ripped in half by his opponent. stuffing out of it and everything, and everybody was fucking crying and shit. I mean, it's Japan. They real emotional.
No.
So, they kind of wrote Daryl off TV. And then I found this how I introduced the 9-year-old to it. The guy made a video of Daryl getting nursed back to health. He had a whole bunch of little Barbie dolls in the surgery room, putting them back together and shit. And it was like a montage of him getting rehabbed, getting his stuff back in, stitches and all that stuff. And they had like the little pixelated over his scars and shit, like it was graphic or whatever.
Oh my, that is adorable.
So did that, and then he was healthy. Then he met another plushy cat, and they had a little baby cat. He was all right. So I showed my daughter that video, and then I wind up getting a little mid-sized plushie for me, and she seen that. She was like, "Oh, Daryl!" And she asked about him every day because I would keep him in my drawer in the room. She's like, "Can I tell Daryl good night?" And then she opened the drawer. "Good night, Daryl." She closed the drawer up. So I found a bigger one, like close to the replica size of the one that he carry on TV. So I got that I gave her the little one.
Oh, man.
Well, I gave her the little one. She done loved it and hugged it, and it's all grimy and dirty. And I got to throw it in the washing machine every now and then. But I have a big, fluffy, plush Daryl. Still got the price tag on. He hang out in the drawer like the little one used to. And every night she still come down in the room. She's like, "Good night. Tell Big Daryl I said good night."
Man, all right. That you win Father of the Year for that, man. That's awesome.
She keep trying to take him from me too. He's just like, "No, it's my plushie. You play with your own shit."
Dang, man, that is what's up. That's really stinking cute, dude.
She asking about him, and then I'm kind of upset too because Daryl has a cousin now.
Ooh,
it's another one just like him, but it's pink, and and his tongue hanging out. And I was like, I know if she that shit, it's gonna be a whole nother to do, and I'm like, fuck. So I haven't showed it to her yet.
Well, may there be mercy on you when that happens, when you introduce her to Daryl's cousin, man.
Yeah, because I kind of want to, so fuck. It's gonna come in the house eventually.
At that point, you just steer into the skid.
Mm-hmm. I just do what I do with my wife. I just buy shit and hide it, or I don't say nothing.
Plausible deniability, right?
Exactly. Because like, I gotta look around, make sure they ain't spying on me. I bought my homeboy. I was in the military with him. He got out, and he got his own ammunition line, Black Rambo Ammo. You can look him up on Instagram at Black Rambo TV. And he came out with his own ammunition line. So it was only in 9mm at the moment. And I wanted to show support. So I went to the gun shop that he frequented down here in Houston. And I got me a box of 9mm. And while I was in this freaking Toys R Us of guns and shit, I seen like Call of Duty weapons and all kind of gold-plated shit. And I was like, this is fucking awesome. I was like, but I got this 9mm ammo. And I ain't got no 9mm pistol or nothing to shoot it with. So I kept looking around, just window shopping and browsing and everything. And then I seen the sign hanging over the register. It's like, we finance. And I was like, oh, I mean, I got some money on me. I mean, it wouldn't be too much, about $500. I got like three on me. And I can just finance the rest and make 2 payments after I get paid. And boom, I'm done. And then I talked myself into a pistol. So I bought the pistol. And then I came home. And I carry a service pistol, which is a Glock. I bought a 9mm Glock, and I have a 45 Glock.
Ooh.
And I have another 40 cal Glock because it's the one that I carry. So I bought one of my own to practice with. So that's 3 Glocks in the house already, and I just brought this 4th one in there. So then she got her pistol. So there's Glock boxes all over the place. So all I did was take that extra Glock box and I slid it under the bottom like it was always there. And I never said shit about it, and she ain't never said shit about it, so we good.
Man, that is sneaky, dude. That's what's up. Bravo, sir. Bravo.
See, it's easy when you have things that plenty of things that you already have. So like all them Glock boxes, you wouldn't be none the wiser because if you see one down there, it was like, oh, that's one of the old ones. But when I bought that goddamn drone, I've never owned a drone, and this is the only one I have, so I had to be like, I got a drone.
Well, yeah, I feel like with that you can't exactly like dance around it. Plus, if I had bought a drone, I would brag about that. That's cool, dude.
Oh, I did. I crashed it already. My first crash. It was scary and awesome at the same time. Because I got the one you see probably all over Instagram, or the one that they pushing on everybody, the Maverick Mini.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I bought that motherfucker, and I've been flying it in the backyard. Flew it over the pool around my neighborhood and all kind of crazy shit, which you can see the video footage on Instagram at the 3R Show. I like to plug all my stuff, not my orifices, but my social media.
Oh God, there's an internet meme right there.
Oh yeah, hold on. Yeah, dad jokes. But I'm flying it in the front yard, and I'm new. I'm a novice. I've never had one before. So when you fly it forward, left and right is left and right. But when you fly it back towards yourself, it's the opposite. So I'm flying it down the middle of the street back towards me, not really paying attention. I thought I was further away from the light post than I was. That arm clipped that damn light pole. It's 360 shot up in a tree and it hit the ground. I was like, no. I was no all the way until I walked up on it and seen that it was fine. And I was like, that was fucking awesome. Only thing I regret about that, not that I crashed. I mean, this shit happens or whatever. That I didn't have the camera on the front recording when it happened, because I wanted to see how that shit was.
Dude, that would have been such a good video.
I know. And then like that, a guy that he's just pulling up to the front of his house and get home or whatever. And you just see this thing just hit the ground. And he's like, then he walked in the house.
Well, I feel like in this day and age, with the drones and everything, like you see a person flying a drone and then it crashes and it's just like, all right, crash a drone, no big deal, go in the house, move on with your life. But, when drones were becoming like a brand new thing and they were more like a toy than they were, say, now being used for the military and all these other noble purposes, it was like, person on your block has a drone. Everybody wants to come see the drone. Everybody wants to take a turn flying this thing.
Or everybody wants to shoot that motherfucker because, oh, look, he's going to spy on us. He's invading my privacies.
I mean, I can understand that kind of reaction, like being upset if you're going to, because there is that potential. And I haven't heard of it personally because I'm not a big drone nut. I think they're awesome, but I'm sure there are many stories of people playing perverted Peepin' Tom and whatnot. So what do? You get out your shotgun. Hunting season, y'all.
Shit, the birds be chasing my shit. They got like some mockingbirds around here or whatever. When I fly it up around this tree, whatever, they come out and start flying around it and shit. I'm like, oh fuck, I gotta come back.
See, it's the drone today. Next thing you know, you're gonna have a situation like out of that Hitchcock movie, The Birds, where you're stuck in a phone booth with seagulls trying to peck your face off.
Where the fuck I'm gonna find a phone booth? Tell me this. If anything, it'd be the freaking the breezeway area in Walmart where you get the shopping carts from. I'll be stuck in there.
Oh, damn. I feel like now that's probably not worse than a phone booth. That's actually probably a lot better than a phone booth.
Yeah, because I can go and close that little cage on the end and be like, ha, bitches. And then somebody walk in through the automatic doors and they all come flying and peck the shit out of me.
Yep. And his headstone will say, Ramblin' Rob, pecked to death by birds.
Motherfucker.
You gotta throw the motherfucker there at the bottom.
Yes. But how much have you noticed the change from episode 1 to currently at episode 90, 91?
This was this past episode was episode 90, so episode 91 is going to be coming out soon. And I think the biggest change was not only for me personally, being on the microphone and everything, because when I started doing that in 2018, I hadn't been on a mic since college. Mm-hmm. So I'd lost a lot of that energy and that poise and all that shit that you have when you're doing that for a while. But the biggest change that I noticed was that I became a more confident individual. Like I'm a very confident guy. I did theater when I was in middle school and high school and a little bit in college and everything. So, I had confidence already from doing stuff like that. And I do cosplay as well. And you have to be really confident when you do cosplay, because you are going out there wearing spandex or wearing a suit of armor that you make yourself or something that you had commissioned. So you got to have confidence when you're doing that. But
is either one of two things.
Yeah.
It's either confidence or a whole bunch of don't give a fuck.
I think for me, it's always been a little column A, a little column B.
Yeah, because I've seen, I guess it's a blend of the two as well, as you just mentioned. But some ladies be coming to these conventions and it's like, I don't give a fuck and I'm confident at the same time, because I've seen ass cheeks galore.
Oh God, yeah.
And it's weird because this is how I say it's the duality between the two. Confidence for going out in public and wearing that thing, and to not give a fuck because there's kids there. You know?
Oh yeah. And I mean, I admire that confidence and don't give a fuck attitude, but at the same time, it's like, well, what about when it's, say, you know, I don't know, like a bunch of guys dressed up as the Spartans from 300, all they're wearing is basically a leather banana hammock and a helmet and a cape.
Yeah.
That takes even more balls, literally.
Yeah. I mean, and then there's probably balls hanging. So, I mean,
God.
But I mean, I don't care either way if it's male or female, you know, and they dress kind of skimpy or whatnot. But, you know, I kind of look at it as, if you are there with your child, it's safe to assume that your child is familiar with ass load of these characters, and they've seen them at their worst and best, and, you know, battle damage and fights, and their outfits are torn, whatever little outfits that they have. So, I mean, it probably ain't really nothing new to them. But it's just like at certain points, I've seen the thirst traps in there to where the lady is pretty much walking around in a goddamn bikini. I was like, I don't know anybody that really cosplay in the bikini, any characters that just walk around in bikinis. I mean, there's probably some that I don't know of. A lot, maybe, because I'm not too in the comics. But yeah, you just here for celebrity, I guess, or just
right. Like there are some costumes where, and I'm never gonna call shame on people for that, you know. Like, I've been doing cosplay for a long time, but there are some costumes where it's like they put on, where I've never seen it personally, but it's just like you hear about it, like, you know, you put on like a Batman themed swimsuit and a cape and a mask, and you say you're Batgirl. I'm like, I'm sorry, you are not Batgirl.
Mm-hmm.
That is not Batgirl. That is you just trying to show a little skin and get a bunch of dudes to be thirsty for you.
Yeah,
that ain't a costume. No, I'm sorry. And then you see somebody dressed like Batgirl from, since I mentioned Babs Tarr earlier, from like when Babs Tarr was drawing Batgirl and everything for DC, you see like one of those amazing costumes with the amount of detail worked into it, and the headpiece and the cape and all the little bells and whistles. And I'm like, yes, I want to take a picture of you in that costume because that's awesome. Versus, I don't know, would-be porn starlet over there basically in her birthday suit.
Yeah. But, I do enjoy the cheeks every now and then.
I mean, yeah, it's great and all, but I guess maybe my personality on this has shifted a little bit because I go to these shows as a professional now, so I've learned to look at it from a more, I want to say mature, but then it's like I'm a grown man who still reads comic books in his spare time, so the maturity level is kind of low. And you're a grown man that dress up like other grown men, so I mean. Yeah, fine. I try to approach it with a more professional demeanor, if is a better way to say it than a mature demeanor. Yeah. A couple things before I move away from the cosplay and everything. But what has been your favorite cosplay so far that you've done? That I've done? Correct. Oh, one that I had a lot of fun doing on a couple of occasions now over the years is the Joker from Batman. And it was kind of my own take on the character, because that's kind of the point, is that the Joker's been around for, 80 years now and everything. So you can get away with doing that and nobody's going to call boo, because you're just embracing the fun of the character. I had a lot of fun doing that. And John Constantine is probably one of my other second favorite ones, because I've done him on a couple of occasions. Most recently when I was at C2E2, because for everybody who watches Legends of Tomorrow, you see Matt Ryan every episode doing his brilliant performance as John Constantine. That's the guy, correct? Yeah, British necromancer, trench coat, red tie, blonde hair, smokes. Yeah, the one that they canceled his show. God, do not get me started on. I was mad as hell. So you already answered my question that I was going to ask. I was going to say which version you like better. Here's Keanu Reeves's. Okay, let me point this out. I love Keanu's version. Don't get me wrong. Keanu did an amazing job, but if you wanted to say that version of Constantine Keanu's is like the comics, sadly no. Matt Ryan's is like the comics, and not even with the little things like the tan trench coat and the red tie and the blonde hair and everything, or even the fact that, Matt Ryan is actually, British, or he's a Welshman, so he actually has an accent.
Yeah.
But it's also because Matt Ryan clearly sat down when he was doing the show and read as much of the John Constantine, Hellblazer, and Justice League Dark comics he could get his hands on, so he could understand John's motivations, his personality, everything to be the best John Constantine he could be. And clearly he's doing a great job because, after his show got canceled, he got picked up by the CW, and here it is 2020, and he's still hanging out in the CW verse, saving the world and being a cheeky devil.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the Keanu Reeves movie.
Oh, I did too.
It was almost to the point to where, the little the tattoos that he had on his forearms.
Oh yeah, the glyphs. I love those.
Yeah, I almost got them shits.
Believe me, if I ever do get some ink someday, I'm for sure getting the glyphs so that when I do Constantine, I can have that as well, because my version is I have the regular trench coat and tie, but because I don't want to dye my hair blonde, I leave my hair my natural color and everything. So, yeah.
Wigs.
Well, yeah, no. I mean, I am going to do a wig eventually, but I just haven't gotten to that point yet because wigs you need to have styled and everything, and I can't do that. So I'd have to go to one of my cosplay peeps and be like, "Can you help me style this thing, please? Because I don't know what the hell I'm doing."
Get the tentacle kitty lady to make you a little knit wig.
Yeah, I could ask Tay-Ray, or could ask my friend Amber. She's been doing cosplay for a long time. She has an amazing Black Cat from Spider-Man cosplay that her when I was at C2E2, her and her boyfriend Nate came dressed as a Black Cat and homeless Spider-Man from Into the Spider-Verse. So if anything, I'd go to her, be like, "I bought this blonde wig for Constantine. Can you help me with this?" To which she would probably go yes in a heartbeat, because Constantine is one of her favorite characters in the whole universe.
Now, what's one that you would like to attempt that you haven't done yet?
Oh, funny you should mention that. I actually was having that conversation, ironically enough, with Amber about that a couple of days ago. I want to do the Green Goblin from Spider-Man, specifically the comics, not the movie version, because everybody and their cousins, brothers, whatever, does the Willem Dafoe version, which is great. Mm-hmm. But I want to do the version from the comics. So green bodysuit, scary goblin mask, that little purple, dangle cap and everything, because that's the Green Goblin. When I think of the Green Goblin, I think of the costume that has been like his standard since the 1960s when he first appeared in Spider-Man, Mm-hmm. And plus, then I have an excuse to go to anybody I know who has a really good Spider-Man costume, and maybe somebody that has a Gwen Stacy costume, so we can recreate the panels from the infamous Night That Gwen Stacy Died story arc in the 70s.
Word. There's one I've never done cosplay, and it kind of interests me because I think in 2019 was the first time I started going to conventions myself.
Hey, look at you, man.
And I've been taking the kids with me. Mm-hmm. So, they really into all the different things and whatnot. I had to keep my eye on the little one because the last 2 times we went to a convention, she popped up with 2 new fucking plushies. And I was like, what the fuck? I almost made her go refund them shits, but I was like, you got them now, you motherfucker. I didn't say that to her, but I was saying it.
Right.
But I only wanted to do one cosplay, and it's very simple. I just hadn't got around to it yet. I just had to get a couple accessories because it's very simple. I spoke New Japan Professional Wrestling earlier. Right. There's a referee called Red Shoes Uno.
Ooh.
And I want to cosplay as him.
Nice, man.
So all it is a black top, black bottom, similar to what I have here. He got red, little red arm sleeves and a black elbow pad. And he has red shoes, hence his name, Red Shoes Uno.
Man, that's easy, dude.
So that's going to be my cosplay whenever we able to go out in the world and intermingle and stuff.
Hey, I say go for it. And if you have as much fun doing Red Shoes Uno as I can tell you clearly are gonna, I will tell you this right now. This is how I started getting into cosplay. Was make a list of the 20 characters you love from everything. Doesn't matter if it's from movies, from TV, from video games, from cartoons, from comics, whatever. Make a list of at least 20. Narrow that down to your look through that 20, get rid of 10 that you don't want to do right now, or you're like, I could do that at some point. Doesn't matter how complicated or simple they are. So you're down to 10. Narrow that down to 5. And from those 5, pick the first one you want to do, and then hold on to those other 4 and get to them eventually. And then that's how you get started.
Well, shit is simple for me. I don't even have to go that far back. There's only 4 for me.
Well, dude, you're all set.
Yeah, 1 I already told you. Red Shoes Uno.
Mm-hmm.
Blade.
Oh, hell yeah.
The Punisher. Deadpool. That's all I got.
Man, honestly, people hear those character names and it's like, man, we got too many Punishers. We got too many Deadpools. We got too many Blades. There is no such thing as too much of anything when it comes to cosplay, man, because you can take what a person's doing already and look what they're doing, add your own spin on it, get your own accessories, I mean, you say you want to do Blade, everybody does the Wesley Snipes Blade, which is great, but you know what? I have never seen anybody do Blade the way he was in the original Tomb of Dracula in the 70s with the green bodysuit and the green tinted shades and like a bandolier of wooden stakes across his chest.
So, I mean, for me,
do Snipes, man. Do Snipes. Do whatever you want.
Sticky Fingers.
Oh.
The one they canceled after a couple episodes into the first season.
Oh my God, yeah, on Spike TV.
Yeah, oh man, I was so upset about that shit.
I love that thing, man.
Oh, hold on, wait a minute. You get buttons. That's the wrong answer.
Well, when I say I loved it, I appreciated the performance he did.
Yeah. Well,
let me clarify that.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. I seen a snippet of it, and I heard him talk, and I'm used to seeing him in earlier roles way before this, and I don't understand how the fuck they landed on Sticky Fingers, but in that snippet, I'm about to say snippet fingers, in that snippet of him being Blade, that was the first time that I heard him speak with a clear voice, because his normal voice is just like, yeah, I mean, if you've seen with the Second Friday movie, he was Debo little brother or whatever, and he talked. That's how he talked normally. But to hear him sound like a human being, play role, I give him props for that little snippet that I saw. That was pretty good. But here we go again. We've had this conversation about Blade, and now that your boy Cottonmouth from Luke Cage or whatever,
Mashira Ali, right? I apologize for getting his first name wrong, but yeah.
Yeah. Alita Battle Angel, freaking, was that Moonlight, all those different movies, which none of them that I've mentioned, except for Alita Battle Angel, that I have never saw. But he wanted to be Blade. And this kind of upset me. But at the same time, I'm getting a Blade movie, which I love and I want so bad. But at the same time, it's not Wesley Snipes, which I adore as a Blade. But I'm like, will this movie have his involvement? Is he going to be a freaking consultant? I mean, I'm like, it's just, I want to watch it. But at the same time, because this is my beef. I don't know the dude's background, Ali guy. I don't know if he knows martial arts. I'm pretty sure they're going to train him up and get him spun up, about time it's time to shoot the movie. But you had that in Wesley Snipes. He already knew the shit. I noticed his prowess in Demolition Man when he was Phoenix. Now it's like, I love this so much. Need to see this Wesley Snipes all the time. And then I'll go back and watch some of his older movies, Passenger 57 and all this other stuff. Because prior to that, Demolition Man and all this other action movies, all I knew this dude was from like New Jack City and Sugar Hill and Waiting 2XL, all these drama and fucking gangster shoot a motherfucker in the face movies and shit, But when I seen that he knew and did martial arts, and when I watched Blade, and it was the first DVD I ever owned.
Ooh, nice.
Which I stole it, but still, and it was like the first time I looked at the behind the scenes on the disc and everything, and I found out that they was originally gonna pick LL Cool J to be Blade, which would have been a fuck.
Oh God, yeah.
That would have been something fucking crazy too. So he has always been my Blade because I didn't know about Blade until this set of movies, and then to know that I just don't want the fucking shaky cam over the back because I don't really know martial arts shit with this new movie. You know, I don't want a heavily used stunt man because I can't do the kicks and the spins and all this other bullshit. You know, I don't want that.
Right.
That's what's kind of upsetting to me. But like, you know, these nowadays Marvel movies, they put time and effort into them. So I mean,
right.
I'm gonna still see it regardless. But
oh yeah. No, believe me, I know. I'm the exact same way. I mean, you know, I love the Wesley Snipes movies. They are still some of my favorites to this day from the pre-MCU era of superhero movies, you know, like because Wesley Snipes, because, you know, before we had the Wesley Snipes movies, we had, just looking at like, you know, superhero and media, we had the Lou Ferrigno Hulk show, we had the Adam West Batman show, we had Linda Carter as Wonder Woman, and then along comes in the 70s, you got Christopher Reeves as Superman, and then in 89, you got Michael Keaton as Batman, and those were great, but nobody else knew what to do. So Wesley Snipes as Blade showed that, hey, we can take these other properties and we can make movies out of them. And that's what opened the floodgates. So everybody talks about, you know, all these other movies. It's like, no, Wesley Snipes is the one that showed, hey, you can do other movies. And that's why I'm excited for when we eventually get an MCU Blade.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to go back and rewatch Wesley Snipes no matter what.
Yeah, and then I attribute the Blade franchise and the Matrix franchise for, you know, propelling cinema as far as visual effects and equipment forward.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because Blade came out, I get my timelines and years wrong, so you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think Blade came out in, what, 98? Or 90? I could be wrong. I got the phone right here. We got technology.
Yeah.
I always get my dates wrong, but I know that Blade came out a year or two before the first Matrix movie.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yes, I was right. Blade came out in 98. And some of the things that they used in that movie as far as for visual effects and just the style of cinema and everything, they co-opted that when they went to make the freaking first Matrix movie. And then the Matrix added its own thing with the freaking the curved camera system and everything with the Wachowskis made and whatnot. So they did like the bullet time, slow motion shit. And then 2 came out right before the Matrix 2. And that's when we started getting more blend of CGI and actual actor in the films and whatnot. Because that was the first time they started testing some of that technology. So I can tell you the specific scenes that they started playing around with it. It was in the beginning with the motorcycle shit. So it was when he got a motorcycle and he jumped up and he did the little 360 spin shoot thing down and he landed on the ground, shot the dude through the chest, turned to ashes. That was like a blend of CGI. Obviously, you can't do that shit in real life. And, it kept his face, you know, it made it look like it was really Wesley Snipes.
Right.
And when he stuck the landing, that was actually him dropping from a certain height, and they blended the two together. And it was just fucking amazing. And then you would have that heavily in The Matrix Reloaded when Neo had the freaking Mr. Smith fight and he stuck the pole in the ground and he did the little 360 run or whatever. That was CGI. It wasn't a person. And they blended the two together to try to make it look as real as possible. And these 2 movies was the catalyst for that technology moving forward in other movies.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, since we're talking about Marvel and everything and movie technology. I mean, yeah, you know, you had like the X-Men and the Fantastic Four and stuff, but to me, when superhero movies really started stepping up a notch in terms of production as far as special effects goes, Iron Man 1, bringing the Iron Man suits to life. Doesn't matter if it was the janky Mark 1 that he walks out of that cave with, you know, or by the end of the movie when he's wearing the sleek yellow and red and gold armor. And I mean, you look at what they were doing with Endgame, man. Like the perfect example of Endgame, that scene where all of those sorcerers are opening the portals and you have all of the other Avengers and the reinforcements coming out, and I'm like, this is where we're at. This is amazing.
Yes. It's just like the face tracking and all the other crazy stuff that they do now. And, mocap is more sleek and designed, streamlined than what it was when they first started with that shit. It's just fucking amazing. Another movie that I had to see, and I knew I had to see it because my son was excited about seeing the shit, was 1917.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Yeah, the movie that they made looked like one long continuous shot,
Yes.
That I watched that movie and I was fatigued. I was fucking tired.
Oh,
I was exhausted.
absolutely.
Because it doesn't give you a break. It just keeps going. It's just on and on and on. And the stuff that spawned from that movie, because they had to create a stabilization rig for all the filming that they was doing. They had a gimbal that they specially made for this movie because all the shit they was doing, they never really filmed the movie in this type of style. So there's going to be technology to evolve from this movie being made. And then I think it was filmed in a way to where like it was more suited for home viewing rather than the theater, because I don't think the projectors can handle like the resolution or however they filmed it or whatnot. But it's a fucking amazing movie.
Oh, yeah. And you're right, though. Like, that's one of the things, even though I myself am not a person who is in the movie industry, I respect the hell out of the movie industry, because you look at where we are today in 2020. Okay, yes, the world is on shutdown, but if you look at the movie technology we have, digital cameras, high-end mocap technology, all of these things. And yeah, you still have movies that are built with traditional sets and everything, because that's never going to not be a thing. Even when we get into where we are at some point with holographic technology, there's still going to be a need for traditional sets. And then you go all the way back to the 1900s or the late 1800s when the movie industry was just starting, and it was, whatever millimeter film cameras and pieces that you're building yourself and all that. I cannot even begin to fathom how much progress we have made in such a short amount of time. And it really is a relatively short amount of time compared to things like, say, I don't know, you want to go like a little outside of the geeky end, like, realms like the way the printed word is.
Yeah.
You got thousands and thousands of years ago when they're making papyrus scrolls and writing with, ink that they make themselves from crushed plants or whatever, or typing or chiseling stuff out on tablets. And then you got like, the Gutenberg Bible and the early printing press and all that stuff and woodcuts. And yes, okay, I'm a book nerd. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then you get where we are now with Kindle, man. I can on my phone. I got the Kindle app. I got whole books on this thing, tablets.
Mm-hmm.
You can store hundreds and hundreds of books on a small little device that is almost roughly less than the size of what a tablet was back in like ancient Greece and ancient Rome.
Yeah. But it is convenient. The technology
for sure
propelled us so far into the future. But, I don't read so much, but when I do read, I love to have the book in my hand.
Yes.
Because one for me is just like, I know if I'm reading on this thing right here or the tablet or whatever the hell, I'm going to be like, notification. Oh, I'm going to stop reading. I'm going to look into this, and I'm going to fall down a rabbit hole of Instagram and all this other bullshit. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I was reading a book. I forgot what the hell I was doing. But if I got the book, it's there. And I'm just like, I'm diving in and I'm in the pages, I'm in the creases and the folds, I'm turning the page, I'm like, oh shit, I'm going to the next page, and all kind of other crazy shit, because I'm there with the book. I like the smell, the touch, and everything. But, that phone shit get distracting.
Oh, for sure. I love having Kindle, but I'm like you. I am a man who absolutely has to be holding a book, which is why, right before within the last year alone, I have spent more time going to my public library because I was trying to not spend as much time on screens, like on my phone, for example. And there were times where I'd go to my library and I would sometimes, I'd tell myself I'm only going to get maybe a couple of books. Yeah, no. At one point I walked out with like 12 books 2 of them were graphic novels, I grant you.
Yeah.
But still, those other 10 books were like, various sizes and thicknesses and all that stuff. And it was just like, yes, books.
Sound like those conventions is various sizes and thicknesses. Anyway.
Damn it, Rob.
But anyway, when we was talking about the advancements in technology and everything, I mean, I feel fortunate to be born in the era that I was born in, to where like we didn't have shit, and I get to see the shit come to an existence, and I get to see the shit evolve, But it's kind of damaging to my kids now because they were born in the shit. So like when I go back and we talking about special effects and graphics and how CGI has changed over the years, I go back and show them a movie that I adored from the past, and my 9-year-old is sitting there is like, oh, that CG is bad. I was like, come on, dog. Because she used to seeing Endgame and Infinity War and all these crazy ass movies. Then you go back and see a movie that, at the time that shit was like what it is now. That's how that was when we first saw it. It's like, oh shit, this is our Endgame in '96, But like my daughter now sees something like I'll just use the Matrix for example, that Mr. Smith fight. That shit looks very computer graphic-y right now in 2020. And she knows that. She's like, oh, that's some bad CGI. I was like, just watch the movie. Stop analyzing it. God damn it.
No, I agree with you. And someday, God forbid, if I find a nice woman who actually, wants to become the future Mrs. Winchester, which hopefully she's got a bit of a geeky side so that she can geek about that with her bridesmaids and everything, But if I ever get married and have kids someday, I want to raise them the exact – and everybody parents differently. You parent differently. My parents raised me the way they raised me. My aunt and uncle raised their kids the way they are. My aunt and her wife are raising their boys the way they are. Everybody parents differently. But what I want to do is the exact same thing in this case that my parents did, which was limit the amount of technology that is in their lives. Because when I was growing up, I'll be perfectly honest, I didn't have any video game systems, man. The first time I'd play video games when I was at friends' houses for sleepovers or play dates or whatever, using the computers at school. And I played computer games at home and everything on an old Macintosh or an old Dell, like a big fat gray box with a dial-up modem. Sounded like the computer was having a heart attack. But I didn't have my first game system that I owned was a PlayStation 2, man, back in like 2008, 2009. So by that point, we were already miles ahead on gaming technology.
Yeah. So
I want to do the exact same thing for them to make them appreciate what it means to have a childhood that isn't completely dependent on screens and phones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm mixed on it because, like I said, I grew up into the stuff and I fully embraced the technology and whatnot.
Oh, I do too.
Because, as a child, we looked toward this future. It was like, man, I wish I could have a phone in my pocket. So I didn't have to find a pay phone and do all this other bullshit. Nah, I got this little motherfucker right here. Do every goddamn thing, we dreamt about this stuff and we get to see some of our dreams come into fruition.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Like, for my kids or whatever, for me to limit their technology as I sit in their face with my fucking iPhone and my tablet and all kind of stuff, I feel some type of way about that. But to your point, there is a limiting and whatnot because I find it funny. If I'm doing work here or just, just general, nature shit, and we have a storm and the internet go out, these motherfuckers lose their mind. I see my kids more than I see them, when the internet on or whatever. Because check it out, 9-year-old, me and my wife downstairs, she upstairs in her room doing kid shit with a tablet and, drawing or whatever she do. And, I was like, hey, because I'm building a studio in my garage right now. So I had to turn off the electricity. So if I had to turn off the electricity in this room, all the internet in the house is going to go out. So I went outside, turned the break off, came back in. I was like, watch this. All you hear is the door slam, her little footsteps, do. Hey, what are you guys up to? And I was like, yeah, you ain't seen what the hell we up to. The internet out, ain't it? She's like, yeah. That's a telltale sign when I know she up to something or she wants something or something wrong. Because she'll come down there and be like, I was just coming down here to check on you guys. I was like, okay, was you trying to get some snacks? Is the internet out? What's going on? You know? But she a sweet kid though. But I mean, I can see through her bullshit.
Well, you kind of have to as a parent, otherwise kids just run circles around you. I mean, God knows every parent has to. It doesn't matter what time and place that their kid being raised in. Doesn't matter if it's in 2020. Didn't matter if it was in 1992 or 1980 or whatever. You gotta have a bullshit detector.
Yeah, but with that limiting thing, I do fully agree with everything that you're saying. Because like right now, I have the internet for them on all their devices on a schedule.
Right.
So when they were in school proper, the internet would be off until 4:00 in the afternoon. So that they get home at like 3:30. So they have like 30 minutes to an hour before the internet will even turn on. Barring that they need to do homework and stuff and with the use of computer, but mostly it's just paperwork or they got books and shit. So internet come on at 4, and then it go off at 9, then it go off at 10. 9 for the younger one, 10 for the older one, and all the devices lock out and they can't get in, and they just have to lay there and look at the ceiling and shit. So I mean, I limited in that much, and then it became a problem for the oldest one because I'm a gamer. I'm a lifelong gamer. I had a Nintendo. I had the freaking Commodore. I had the Atari. I had all kind of crazy shit. I've had every Nintendo system that ever came out. I've had every PlayStation. I have every Xbox. I didn't have all the Sega stuff because some of that shit got kind of weird with the Sega CD and Sega Saturn, and all the other crap. I didn't have all that, but I've had just about every iteration of every console that has been put out. So to see my boy be in the video games, but it's controlling him and it's distracting him from his shit, it kills me that I had to take the shit from him because I'm like, oh. I love the games and I want you to play the games, but you're fucking up. So I had to take the games, So it became a problem. So his shit just poof, ninja vanish.
No, I understand the same way, man. God knows my parents were the exact same way with me, and it was the same. And then when I was off in college, I had to do it on my own. Mm-hmm. And I want to say this, and obviously, everybody. And, this is different for everybody who's ever gone to college or will go to college or whatever. One of the biggest things you learn there, or even when you're not in college, you were in the military, you still had to develop your own schedules. That's the biggest thing. One of the biggest things you learn in life when you're out on your own doing your own thing is how to manage your time well. Mm-hmm. And, okay, perfect example then. Since we're talking about gaming and managing time really quickly. My freshman year of college, first time I'm away from home. And my birthday's coming up, and I don't have any way to be there with my family and everything, and I'm a little sad because I've always celebrated my birthdays with my grandparents, my parents, my brother, and everything. And so one day I go to my post box, my student post box, because you sometimes get announcements and everything in there, or you get a letter from home, and I get the slip that says you've got a package to pick up at the window, and I'm like, oh, what is it? My parents. Oh my God, they win Parent of the Year for this alone. Gosh knows everything else they ever did for me. They pre-ordered a copy of Batman Arkham City as an early birthday present for me to be mailed to me at school because they knew I was going to be spending my first birthday away from home. And so I got that game. I called them. I said, thank you so much. I had to get to class. It was a Friday night. I didn't have any homework. I didn't have anything going on that day. I didn't have to be at the student station until Saturday afternoon and everything. So I popped in the disc. I played. I didn't go to bed till 1 o'clock in the morning after I beat Solomon Grundy.
Yes.
And I was exhausted the next day. And after that, I was like, never again.
I'm the opposite. It's just like, and I can see myself in my son. So it's just like, I'll get into a rut with games. It's to where I know I have to cut it off. Mm-hmm. I will never get off. So I got to be at work at 7. So I got to get up at like 5:45 and all this other bullshit. So I'm not getting into bed till like 2.
Oof.
And then through my 16 years of military training, I mean, I have been prepared to survive on minimal hours of sleep. So, I mean, it wouldn't bother me too much, but it was just like one night turned into 2 nights, and I was like, I'm at work like, oh Jesus, So I was like, I had to cut that shit off. It was to a point to where like I stopped playing video games for like 3 months.
Ooh, dang.
Because I was just trying to get my sleep shit in order, And then played Call of Duty for the first time since Black Ops 2, and I've been on that bitch ever since.
Yeah, my current gaming, I won't even call it an addiction, but even though there's been so many amazing games that have come out in the last couple of years, like We Happy Few, the Yuri Lowenthal Spider-Man game that swept big with the gaming awards and everything. The one that and even like right now, you got all this new stuff coming out, even though we're all locked in and everything. I'm still playing my way through Assassin's Creed Odyssey because it's a freaking open world game that with all of these quests, and at this point it's not even about beating the main story. I love the fact that I can literally go through like all of ancient Greece. Man, like 2 weeks ago I killed a Cyclops. Not the Cyclops from Odysseus and Homer's Odyssey and everything, but I killed an honest to gosh Cyclops. Big eye in the middle of its head, big ugly thing wearing a loincloth stomping around, and I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah, that's the thing with games for me as well. It's just like I wind up being a collector rather than a player sometimes. Because like if you can see around me right now, I'm surrounded by thousands of DVDs. It is not because I like just about all these movies. It's just like I'm a completionist to an extent. So if I get freaking I don't know, the first Expendables, there's 2 more, so I have to buy the other 2 so I can have a complete set. Right. Or name a shitty franchise. If I like one movie, I have to have the whole set.
I mean, okay, they're not exactly shitty, but the Scary Movie franchise.
Now, I refuse to get those, so
wow,
I don't have that.
Wow, you are the first movie enthusiast I've met who doesn't have those in their collection. That is hilariously awesome.
Yeah, no, because it's like I seen those movies when I was heavy into pirating. Me matey. And so I never had a physical copy of those. So I've seen Scary Movie 1 and 2, and I like those. And then they came out with 3, 4, and 5, and I think maybe a 6. And I was like, no, never again. I'm not, because I know myself. If I get either one of these movies, I have to get the whole set. And I don't want that shit, my shit. So I just don't get it.
No, I dig what you're laying down, man. Since you're talking about being completionist and everything, and since I'm a huge comics geek, like that C, yeah, like that C in comics. It's not just because of the podcast; it's also a reflection of who I am. So one of my favorite DC characters is a guy named Starman. Quick shout out, Stargirl is going to be dropping at the end of May on the DC streaming app, as well as episodes airing on the CW, and also when HBO Max comes out on May 27th, you're going to be able to get that as well through HBO Max. Anyway,
also
Stargirl.
Also, yep. Shout outs to Starman on the NES system for pro wrestling.
Hell yeah. But anyway, like Starman is one of my favorite characters from DC. Because it's a very grounded human comic, like it's about this guy, Jack Knight. His dad was a superhero in the 1940s, and he's very ambivalent about becoming a hero and picking up his father's legacy, but he kind of has to because literally in the first issue, his brother David gets murdered on his first night out as Starman, so he becomes the next Starman to initially avenge his brother's death, and then he realizes he can make a difference. They got the omnibuses and the big reprinted trade collections for this thing. But I was like, I don't want those. One, no offense to the publisher, the binding was just not that good. And two, the original trades had like these really great unique covers and also introductions from different comic book industry pros and celebrities and stuff, or people that they wanted to contribute something to the book. So I wanted to get those to, have them and everything, and also because I wanted to be able to read them. It took me, I think, 4 to 5 years, maybe a little more, to go into comic book shops and conventions and mini shows just to get every single volume. So I'm exactly the same way you are. I'm a completionist to an extent.
Dude.
more with things that I want more than anything, or that I want to have.
Yeah, dude. I fucking rewatched the HBO animated series for Spawn most recently.
Oh man.
I rewatched the whole what I think it was 3 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And around the time that I rewatched it, they just Todd McFarlane just released issue 300.
Oh yeah.
The Spawn, and I was like, dude, I love this. To the 3 characters I gave you earlier, Spawn is in there as well.
Nice.
I wouldn't dare try to cosplay as that one, but that's my 4 characters. And I was like, dude, I never really got into the comic book because I felt like that HBO series was as close to the comics as it could be.
Oh, for sure.
Especially with Todd McFarlane being involved in it and whatnot, with his whack ass intros to the show and shit. Hi, I'm Todd McFarlane, and you talk about Hellspawn and all kind of other crazy shit. I was like, season 1 of him introducing the episodes was wooden as fuck. By the time season 2 came around, he found this groove and niche and whatnot. He got a little bit better, but I don't even think he said too much shit in season 3. He's just like, hit the motherfucking episode, let's play. But yeah, I was just like, I was looking at the what they call them, when they come out with a certain set in one book.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a couple of different terms. There's what's called a trade paperback, which will usually collect. And there's a little bit of knowledge for all your fans who are non-comic geeks, but you have your kids are, or your friends are, or you in this case, my friend. Yeah. A trade paperback will usually collect anywhere from 6 or so issues, maybe more, depending on the publisher and depending on the story arc. For example, you know how the CW did Crisis on Infinite Earths last year and everything?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so you can get that in a trade paperback form. That collects the entire story of Crisis on Infinite Earths, or whatnot. That's, usually a slightly skinny book, right here. I got a couple of trade paperbacks right here. I got this one right here, Vigilante City Lights. It's a very thin little book and everything. Very nice book, though. But then over in my bookshelf, I've got what are called hardbacks, which will usually collect more than 10 issues because they're meant to be more from a series. And then you have what are known as omnibuses, which are, one, they can be expensive depending on not necessarily the character, but how much content is in it. And 2, they can be heavy. You could honestly, and this is not an advocacy thing, but it's like joking, like you could kill a man with a comic book because some of these hardbacks are so thick, you could break somebody's neck with it.
Yeah, because I seen that they was doing that with the Walking Dead.
Oh yeah.
Episode, it was like issue 1 through 10, then the next one was like episode 10 through 20, and on and so forth. A compendium, some shit. Or whatever.
Yeah, they call them compendiums or hardcover editions or omnibuses or whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of words for that singular type of book.
I'm familiar with that word omnibus from this old YouTube series called Ask a Ninja.
Ooh. And
if you haven't looked that up or heard of that, I implore you to go look it up. Matt, fucking Facebook. I tracked that dude down, the guy that played the character of the ninja.
Really?
And the show ended, I think, in like 2014. And I was like, because we did the Twitter thing or whatever. I was just thinking about it one day, and I put the question out there on Twitter. I was like, how many of y'all remember this? I had a link to one of his videos, and I was just like, wait a minute. And people started talking about it. It's like, oh, I remember that. And I was like, what was the last video he published? I went to the YouTube page, 2014. Then I went to another thing, and I was just going down the rabbit hole trying to find this guy, and I found his fucking Facebook. And I got in Messenger, and I got a hold to him. I asked him to be on the podcast. He's like, yes, let's do it. And then I kept trying to message the thing back on Facebook, and the messages weren't going through. And I was like, no.
What the hell?
That shit happened to me 2 times. I had, speaking of Blade, I had Ebony Adams, the girl in the basement, the one that kicked Blade ass, the little black girl with the braids.
Oh, yeah.
I had her on the hooks on Facebook to have her on the show because I was like, same thing. I was like, oh, what the fuck's she doing right now? And looked it up. Oh, found her on Facebook. Had her on the hooks. She said yes. Tried to, messenger back. Facebook wouldn't let the messages go through. I tried from all kinds of ways and it wouldn't happen.
Oh, dude. Yeah, that's rough.
I don't know, but I'm gonna put it out there. I'm kind of scared about that one though, Ebony Adams, because like somehow through all that, I still wind up being able to be friends with her on Facebook, and then I follow her on Instagram, and she's doing like feet videos. So I don't want to have that conversation on the show.
I'm not even touching that, man. I'm not even going near that.
Yeah, because I mean, it's not like a secret either. I mean,
no.
There's advertisements and shit. I mean, she's promoting it, so it's like I'm interested in the girl that did martial arts for most of her childhood into adulthood and was able to get into the Blade movie and do I think it was Cyber Strike, a Ninja Attack, or whatever the fuck her movie that she did and everything. I did a little bit of research, and that's an awkward conversation to have.
Yeah, that is definitely probably an awkward conversation that you don't want to touch.
Mm-hmm. And then, like, even if I did have on the show, I mean, it's just like out of my own curiosity, I'd be like, I mean, what would bring up this feet pic shit, man? I mean, like, she's kicking motherfuckers in the balls and shit, and
oh god,
kind of crazy shit. I mean, it's that kind of videos and stuff.
Oh, okay then. Wow, long way from kicking Blade's ass in the basement.
Yeah, I mean, now she's kicking balls in the basement. Oh, I get a clap for that one. Yeah.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know. It's just like I'm feeling uncomfortable thinking about having that conversation, so I can only imagine how the person feels to have that set of questions asked to them. But at the same time, if you're profiting off of this and you're advertising it as a business, I mean, why should there be any shame there? I mean, it's just
exactly.
It's my own awkwardness. It's just was kind of holding me back.
Dude, I don't even know how I could talk about that. And I got the podcast and everything. I'm like you. I try to be as professional as possible. But there are just some topics that you don't go near for the obvious reason of it's a conversation that you yourself don't want to have. Or like you said, it may or may not be awkward and uncomfortable for the person you're talking to.
Mm. Yeah, out of the history of this show, over 4 years and over 220-something episodes, I've only had to cut one thing out of this show.
Really?
Yeah, just like somebody asked me to not put that in there. Actually, twice, but the first time it wasn't nothing really major. It wasn't like a secret or nothing. It was just they wanted to be the first person to announce whatever they told me. So
I get that
I leave that out. But I said something and somebody's like, "Hey man, could you cut that out?" I was like, okay, no problem. I can understand that.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. But just that's one of the things that I love about doing our show and doing here and being here with you and everything. So you were talking about Ebony and everything, is the people you meet. Mm-hmm. Even if you don't get them on the show, the connections you make will last forever. And perfect example of with kind of zoom in on what we're doing over here with the Triple C podcast. Want to ask you yourself, because you're a big media consumer. Were you ever a fan growing up of the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain?
Yes, Freakazoid, all that shit.
Then you've probably I don't know if you found it yet, but we've had on the podcast multiple times Rob Paulson, who was the voice of Raphael on the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He was Yakko on Animaniacs and Pinky on Pinky and the Brain. Also Carl Weezer on Jimmy Neutron, both the movie and the show. And he was another thing? He was the Mask on the Mask cartoon.
So check this out. Say his name again.
Rob Paulson.
Isn't that the dude name on Fight Club?
I want to say yes, but dude, it's been a long time since I saw Fight Club, so I'd have to go back and rewatch that.
He is Robert Paulson or some shit. He's like, you get a name when you die and shit. Remember that shit?
Oh man, I mean, I remember bits and pieces, but it's been a long time since I saw Fight Club, man. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch that now.
Yeah, me too. I haven't seen that in a moon as well. I still got Blade pulled up on my phone. I want to watch it right now.
No, but anyway, like we were saying, like the connections and stuff. I remember the first time that I interviewed Rob back in 2018. I was at Wizard World Chicago on a press pass for the website Pop Cult HQ, which I've written for in my spare time and everything, and it's a lot of fun. It's opened a lot of doors for me. And then we got to re-air his interview on the podcast about a month or so later. And then, you jump into 2019, and I interviewed him again at C2E2 2019, and then he was up in Wisconsin for Wisconsin Comic-Con there with his fellow Ninja Turtle brothers, Cam Clark, Barry Gordon, and Townsend Coleman. And I went up there to say hi to him because at that point, I'd interviewed him enough that he was my friend. And I gave him the very first T-shirt with the new logo and everything as a gift, as a thank you for not only being a friend, but for just being a fantastic guest. You jump ahead to October of 2019 when Rob's memoir Voice Lessons was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to have him on the show. It was a lovely phone interview, 30 minutes just with the sweetest man in the whole dang world, talking about his life and his battle with throat cancer and the things that he learned about dealing with a disease that literally could have
taken his career. Yeah.
Yes, literally taken his career and like everything he learned over the years. And to this day, like now here in 2020, I still message him on Twitter and everything, and just to say hi to him. I can count him as a friend. And I don't even know what me from 7 or 8 years ago would have been like if I went back in time and told that me, hey, you're going to do a podcast and you're going to be on first name friendly terms with one of the voice actors who has had a profound impact on our life, not professionally, let alone personally.
Mm-hmm.
I would have looked around for the hidden cameras. Or if you, Rob, could have gone back in time and told me from that long ago, like, hey man, I'm doing a show and you're going to be on and everything. We're going to be talking about all this great stuff. And I would have been like, who the hell are you? Did my brother set this up? Like our lives move in so many different ways. And the power of podcasts is a beautiful thing because look at us, man. I've only known you for a little while. I feel like I know you my whole dang life.
I know. I am that type of man. But yeah, man, it's just we have a kinship. We have a bond through cinema and just these characters that, all these great people have, brought into our lives and whatnot. And we share that kinship and whatnot. So
absolutely.
You could be punching kittens in your spare time, but I mean you like Spawn and all the other stuff, so I guess you cool with me. I don't like cats anyway, except for Daryl.
I'm not punching kittens. I do like cats. I can't have one though because my dad's allergic, so I can't have a cat. But I do love cats.
And see that's another layer to why I gave the kid the cat dog, because she allergic to cats too, and she liked cats, so I had to give her the plushy cat.
It makes perfect sense in the long run. Now you want to talk about dogs? I'm a dog person.
Oh boy, hell yeah! Get clappy hands on the dogs.
I will send you it later through Twitter and everything. I'll slide into your DMs with this. When I was a little Winchester growing up, I had a golden retriever named Sherlock, and this is long before Benedict Cumberbatch and the BBC show were on the air. But he was the bestest boy in the whole dang world, and I love that dog with all my heart.
Oh man!
I remember the day we picked him out. Day after Valentine's Day, when he was literally just a little peanut, and out of all of his brothers, and we wanted a boy dog, because it was me and my little brother, so we knew we didn't want a girl dog. But out of all of his brothers, he was the one who didn't wriggle and squirm in our hands and want to try to get back to mommy.
Mm.
So we knew that's our dog.
Goddamn doggo.
Yeah, right. Damn doggos. You gotta love the doggos.
Hell yeah.
I still want to. I still want to do the thing that Peter Griffin did on Family Guy. 30 puppies. Just put me in a room with 30 puppies. Let them run all over me and lick their little tongues all over my face.
Oh man, I would enjoy that too, but I can't let them lick the face too much because then my wife won't want to kiss me. She said, "Hey, let that dog lick all in your face." It's a doggo. Let the doggo do what the doggo do.
Yeah, especially, are you going to say no to 30 adorable little puppies? What kind of monster is a person?
Hell no. But, sir, we've had a great time. I've enjoyed your company and whatnot, but this is where we put a pin in it, man. Go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you and your cohorts on social media.
All right, then. Well, you can find us on Twitter at the Triple C Podcast. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook as well. And wherever you may roam and call podcast listening your home, we are on the following, just to rattle a few off the top of my head. iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and SoundCloud.
What about Pandora?
We're working on that. One, we haven't gotten there yet, but baby steps and everything, baby steps. We drop a new episode every Monday at 7 a.m. Central Time, since we are a Chicago-based podcast. So if you're up like you are in the wee hours of the morning and everything, and you're subscribed to us, well, every Monday, brand new episode, 7 a.m.
For sure. And then that was another thing that I want to applaud you on and whatnot. From listening to that first episode and the analysis on Ant-Man and Wasp, and just listening to a little bit of the current episode, it was a little more banter based because there's four of y'all in there and y'all just like talking about what you love and shit. A very professional voice. I know you went to school for broadcasting and everything and whatnot, but it's like I don't hear any uhs. I don't hear too many pet words or anything like that. So you're doing top notch there, player.
Hey, much love, man. I appreciate that. And it also helps that I have a really great team behind me as well. My brother, Zach, who, if you're the kind of person who is a very sassy, cynical individual and you love to hear sassy, cynical people as well talk about stuff, my brother is somebody who will have you rolling in the aisles. And if you also like to hear balanced opinions about things, Mari and Kevin and myself do the same thing as well. And we just have fun doing this, man. Honestly, it doesn't even feel like a thing where we like, unless we're going to a convention, then it's like, put your game face on, lace up them boots and get ready to roll out, because that's a different situation. But every week we just get together. We have fun. Now we do research. We spend the week up until we're recording looking at what's going on in the news and everything. But we have fun. And like you said, we're more banter based now than we were when we started in 2018. Natural progression of the show, man. Natural progression.
But yeah, man, once again, thank you for coming on over. And maybe one day in the future, I slide in there ever so gently and I rub all the C's on my face and whatnot.
Man, you are more than welcome to come hang out with us in the podcast. I absolutely welcome you into the show, brother.
Yeah, maybe you can talk about Ebony Adams' feet pics.
I mean, we can. I don't know where that's going to go, but we sure as hell can.
Well, I mean, it'll correlate into a Blade conversation. We could talk about the trilogy one day, and then we could that can be like a side note. Like how I brought up the LL Cool J being Blade.
Hey, works for me, man. Works for me.
There you go. But as it is for every guest of the Random Rounds with Rob, the door is always open for you to come back to promote your next big thing, keep us updated, or just to come shoot the shit.
Hey, I'm all for that, man. I'm all for that.
Yep. All right, sir, we are clear.